yodeling get us all. The jingle yodeling mit. Man kan shout when it's time it.
The United States declared independence in 1776, declaring itself the land of the free. This land of the free attracted many immigrants. One of these immigrant groups were Germans. Since the early 1800s, Germans have been the largest immigrant group to the United States. From 1889 to 1910, 1.5 million Germans have immigrated to the United States. In the 2000 census, 15.2% declared German ancestry, making them the largest ethnic group in the United States at the time.
There are many reasons for the mass immigration. America was viewed as a place to start over, where if anyone worked hard, they could too have a better life. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, Germany was preparing for World War I. With an abundance of anti-Semitism, many Germans, especially Jewish ones, sought refuge in America. This was reflected in our gravestones, with many of them appearing in the Jewish cemetery.
German farmers became superfluous and immigrated to the United States, and German craftsmen, artisans, and shopkeepers, whose livelihood depended on them, followed. Some fled to avoid compulsory military service in Germany. Many Germans hid their identity during this period because of anti-German sentiments. For this reason, many Germans opted to leave their heritage from the gravestone. This can be observed in our series. For German Americans, the 20th century was a time of growth and consolidation. Their numbers increased and their finances became more stable. During World War I, there was great backlash against the German culture in the United States. Anti-German sentiment rose across the nation. For example, Germans in America were considered spies of wars unless they purchased government bonds. Another example can be seen in this New York Times article on the name-changing bill from 1918. It can be seen that the names of all cities, villages, counties, etc. named Berlin or Germany should be changed to Liberty, Victory, or other patriotic designation.
In addition to buying war bonds to prove their loyalty to the U.S., German Americans also had to donate money to charities, for example, the Red Cross. They also had to send their sons to war. The German community went from isolating themselves and avoiding assimilation to continuously having to prove that they were pro-America. An example of an extreme case of proving loyalty is when a German-American male told his grandmother not to buy war bonds, and another German-American shot him dead just to prove he was loyal to the U.S.
Hey Nikita.
Hey,
What's up?
Just looking at my data from the gravestones between 1890 and 1930.
Very interesting. I was actually doing the same thing now that you mention it. What did you find in your seriation?
Well, I was looking at Native born Americans and the iconography of their gravestones, and whether or not they said that they were born in the U.S. on their gravestone or not listed that on their gravestone. And over time, from 1890 to 1899, that factor decreased quite significantly. So in the 1930s, only a very small percentage of people would put that on their gravestones. But secular iconography increased during this time, like flowers, vines, ivy. How about you? What did you find?
Well, I was actually seriating for whether or not most people were listed on the same gravestone, and I seriated for non-Germans, German immigrants, and individuals with German parents. And for the non-German group, I actually found that around 1914, which was World War I, most of them decided, I guess, to bury individually and only have one name listed on the gravestone, whereas before 1914, among non-Germans, there was a higher degree of multiple burials, or multiple individuals listed on the gravestone. And for U.S.-born Germans, the inverse actually occurred. So before 1914, there was a higher degree of individual names listed, so one name listed on the gravestone, whereas after 1914, there was more than one person listed on the gravestone, and that was among U.S.-born Germans. And the same thing kind of occurred for German immigrants in the United States. So after 1914, most of the German immigrants who lived in the U.S., I guess, decided to bury themselves with another person, or probably their relative or sibling or something. So the frequency for multiple individuals listed on the gravestone kind of increased after World War I among German Americans.
But what do both of these mean, and how do they fit into the gumbo? From what we have seen in both of our seriations, anti-German war propaganda was the biggest reason for change, and this continued long after the war. Much harder for Germans to be employed, as no one wanted to be seen as a German sympathizer, this meaning they couldn't get jobs. Therefore, many Germans tried to hide their heritage and their identity, and we see this in our gravestone seriation. Furthermore, with Germans unable to be employed, many of them couldn't afford separate gravestones, this leading to more than one name being put on the gravestone and Germans being buried with their family. This we also see in our seriation.
In conclusion, the social context for German immigration for World War I was that they came here in search of a better life and encountered struggles in the U.S. Before World War I, they struggled with assimilating to a new culture, but they had the support of a large population of German immigration to assimilation. During and after World War I, they had to struggle to prove their loyalty to the U.S., which led to them had to buy bonds and change their names. Another effect of the war was that some Germans were also sent to internment camps.
In relation to the gravestone, we found that after the war, the number of Germans who shared the same gravestone increased. However, the pattern was reversed for non-Germans. We think this is due to the economic problems that Germans faced during the war. For example, spending money on war bonds to prove loyalty, less work opportunities for fear of espionage, etc. As for the iconography, people were less likely to list that they were native of Germany after the war. Again, this was probably due to the anti-German sentiment in the U.S. during the